Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Brown Bag Lunch Series. My name is Aaron Gregerson, and here at MarketMatch, I am the Chief Digital Officer and also an account executive for many of our clients. And today's session is going to focus on digital ad inventory and understanding it so that you have an opportunity to better maximize your return on investment and your revenue with your digital strategy and your digital ads that you're out there placing. So before we kick this off, just a couple of housekeeping items. This session should last about 35, maybe 40 minutes. I will have time for questions at the end of the session. So please go ahead and put those into the questions box or the chat, and I will do my best to make sure I notice those as we go through the presentation this afternoon. So with that, I first want to kind of welcome you and go over what we're going to cover today at a very high level with the brown bag session. So as I mentioned, of course, this session is about digital ad inventory. So the first thing is we need to understand what that actually is, and then we're going to talk about how targeting your digital ads with inventory in mind can be useful for your digital strategy, and then how do we forecast for digital inventory and get your ads placed and maximize the results. So with that, the first thing that we kind of need to do is take a step back and put inventory in context of what it's all about. So the way I like to relate to it is thinking about digital ad inventory like traditional ad inventory. So with traditional advertising, talking about billboards, radio spots, print advertising, if we're still doing that in the newspaper, it's very similar to something like that, where if you have a campaign that you would like to put an ad up on a billboard for, and you go to the billboard company and say, okay, I'd like to put my my advertisement up on a billboard, they're only going to be able to offer you a billboard that they have available in inventory. So if you have picked one out on the side of the highway, but it's not going to be available for another 3 months, which is not during the period of your campaign, that really doesn't work out for you. And so it's very similar to that on the digital advertising side, because we have to work with what is available to us as digital advertisers within the networks that we are advertising in, whether that be on social media, whether it be through search, whether it be through display ads. And we'll talk about all of that a little bit more in detail as we go along here this afternoon. The other thing that we need to consider when it comes to ad inventory is forecasting out how many people are going to see our ads to make sure it's worthwhile for us to be placing these ads. And we can relate that back to traditional ad forecasting as well, because we've worked with perhaps many of these mediums in the past where, for instance, with billboards, it's all about traffic count. So how many eyeballs are going to be on my billboard as people are driving past it? Newspapers, it's all about the readers, and magazines for that matter, it's all about the readership and the subscriber level. Radio would be the number of listeners. And so it's very similar on the digital side that we are able to forecast out, albeit much more accurately in the digital world, what type of eyeballs are going to be able to see our ads and how many ads we're going to have placed. And from there, we can take to that next level or that next leap of saying, okay, how many people are going to not only see my ad, but are going to click on it and go to the page that I want them to go to. And so we can take all of these into consideration as we're dealing with ad inventory to put a really nice glossy look on our ad strategy so that we can prove the ROI of it. So let's talk a little bit about what digital ad inventory is, or digital inventory is. So simply put, digital ad inventory establishes the probability of an advertiser, in this case, which would be your bank or your credit union, having their ads shown based on how much you're bidding, or your budget for that ad campaign, what your ad quality is, and your matched targeting. So we're going to talk a little bit about each of these and how it relates back to that probability factor when it comes down to ad inventory. So the structure behind digital ad inventory is not as straightforward as this slide might lead you to believe, but it does have a very linear fashion to it. So if we think about all of the ad inventory in all of the world, and so for this example, I'm going to refer to a search campaign on Google, for instance, or Bing for that matter. And these would be when people are typing in keywords saying, I need to get a car loan at a credit union near me. What is the inventory for something like that? Well, if we take all the ad inventory of the world, we need to then narrow it down to what we're selling. So a car loan in this case. And then we need to take a look at the consumers who are actually interested, or in this case, searching for your product. And that whittles the inventory down a little bit more. But in the digital ad space, it's all about that bid and get the ad quality to get your ad placed. And here comes the competition part of it, where you have other banks and credit unions in your area that are within that same targeting network, and they are also trying to get their ads placed. So you have to take into account what your competition is doing. Then we take a look at the actual keywords that people are using, and not only that, but the keywords that you select for your campaigns to get your ad placed, and those have to match up. So now we've whittled down that inventory a little bit more. Then it comes down to your bid. What's the final maximum bid that you are willing to put out there to have your ad placed? And if that all matches up, then your ad is going to get placed somewhere in that universe where people are looking for, in this case, the car loan. Now, having your ad placed is obviously a good thing. Does it mean that based on the inventory that's available and your bid and what people are searching for, that it's going to end up, say, on the first page of Google results? That remains to be seen. That's all about how the automated intelligence works on Google's side of things to put your ad where it falls in the hierarchy based on what your competition did and what type of keywords were being used to search for that. So what impacts ad inventory? Well, there are four main components. There are obviously going to be a lot of little different things, but these we can narrow down to the four main components of ad inventory. So the first is keywords and targeting, matching your ads to what people are looking for. Now, this doesn't just apply to search. This also applies to display advertising, social media advertising, what have you. But if we're looking for a specific consumer or demographic group, this is where that targeting comes into play. The second piece of it is going to be what content is in your ad. So this, there's a reason that social media and display advertising even have moved more to having you type actual words into getting an ad placed versus just having an image that you're putting up there. And the reason for that is because then the advertising platforms can make or match the content to what people out there, the consumers out there, are actually looking for. So does your ad make sense to be put in front of John Smith based on his internet activity, what he's searching for, what he's in the market for, that sort of thing? The next piece that impacts ad inventory is your landing page content. So when you provide that click-through link to the advertising platform, they're going to have their bots go out there and scan the page that you've brought into this ad that you're posting. And they are going to make sure that the content on that landing page matches up with the content in your ad that's matching up with the keywords and the targeting that you've placed in front of someone. So if you're talking about car loans in your ad and you've targeted keywords about car loans, but you're driving them to the landing page for contact us on your website, that's going to degrade your ad quality score and impact what inventory is going to be available to you to place your ad. And then finally, we need to consider bid amount. So are you bidding enough to have your ad placed compared to the competition? So all digital advertising these days is a online auction. It's a marketplace auction. So based on the parameters that you've put in place for targeting, the advertising platform is going to take a look at that and then compare it to what the competition is offering and then place your ad based on that. So taking this into like a social media context, when we think about ad inventory for, say, Facebook, Facebook places an ad every 4 posts. So if you're scrolling through your news feed on your mobile device or on your desktop, next time you do that, hit one of the sponsored pieces of content that is showing up in your newsfeed, scroll down 4 posts, and there's going to be another one. That's their algorithm. That's their way of posting paid for content on their site. And so obviously there's a limited amount of that they can offer to each user of Facebook. And so it's going to come down to your competition and the bid amount that other people are, or rather your competitors are putting up there compared to what you are. So why do we need to consider ad inventory? Why does it really matter? Well, let's talk a little bit first about why we are doing digital advertising in the first place. Now, this phrase right here, it's time to stop buying digital airtime, is something that we at MarketMatch use a lot with our clients. We're a very results-driven agency and have a results-driven digital practice. We are designed to get more consumers into the doors of your bank or credit union, into your checking accounts, into loans with you. We're not going to be putting out, let's say, display advertising across the entire internet just for the fun of doing it. Now, is there a purpose in putting ads out there to generate awareness for your brand, for a product? Absolutely. But in our scenario, because of our clientele, your budgets are very hard-won pieces of your overall practice in the marketing department. We want to put those dollars to the best use possible, and so we don't just go out there to buy digital advertising to say, okay, we got this many eyeballs on your ads. We are really interested in pulling that back and saying, okay, how many people are we actually going to be able to take actionable click-throughs with this, or have them take action to convert the sale that we're looking for. So the first thing that I say when considering ad inventory is it's time to stop buying digital airtime. Have a strategy behind what we're doing with the advertising campaigns that we are having. Now, the other thing that I will say is we need to be considering matching your ads to your consumers. So what I mean by this is when compared to traditional advertising, we're used to putting together a campaign that has a specific image, look, content to it, and we roll that out across all of the different channels that we are putting that campaign on. Digital advertising can be and is much more different with that, because we have so much more flexibility to be able to craft ad content, imagery, what have you, to specific consumer groups and then target those ads to those groups. So what that does is takes our ads and puts it into a specific part of the overall digital inventory, ad inventory landscape, so that we have a more relevant ad to the consumer. And with a more relevant ad, the higher our quality score goes, and the more likely, there's again that probability factor, the more likely we are to have our ad placed on the advertising platform. So when you consider putting together campaigns, I'm always a fan of creating multiple different assets to put into different ad groups targeted at specific demographic consumer groups that you are going after for campaigns. Now, does this perhaps make my design department feel a little heartburn and get a little anxious? Absolutely. It's a lot of creative content that you have to put together, a lot of copy that you have to write to speak to specific groups. But in the end, it's going to pay off because you will be getting more traffic to your site, people that are willing to take a look and consider and eventually convert because the advertising is speaking directly to them instead of just having a more general message. So let's talk a little bit now about quality scores. well, I've mentioned this a little bit already, but the key to keeping your quality scores high is to be able to continually analyze and diagnose what needs improvement with your campaigns. What we're eventually looking for here is that buzzword optimization. We really need to go in after the first few days of starting a campaign, take a look at where things are at, what type of demographic groups the ads are actually getting to, where they're being placed, and match that up with what our overall strategy is and where we want it to go in the first place. And if it's not where we want it to go, then we need to change attributes of the campaign or optimize it so that we are placing the ads where we want to go. So for instance, I have a client that has a checking account specific to seniors, so 55 plus age group. If we start a campaign that is supposed to advertise the senior checking option, but it's only hitting people in the 35 to 45 age range, we have missed the target. And so we need to go in and make changes to the settings of the campaign, make changes to the audiences that we are targeting so that the campaign hits the right audience and the right section of ad inventory. Because now we've just wasted those dollars and that amount of inventory versus what we could have done had we optimized in the first place or sooner. So there's that first few days period, and then after 1 week, and then definitely after 2 weeks, going in, taking a look at what we've got and optimizing the campaign from there. Typically, the 2-week period is what's called the learning period for many advertising platforms out there. That time frame is getting shorter because the automated intelligence has gotten so much better. So campaigns are learning much faster. It's now down to more of that 10-day, 7 to 10 day period, depending on the campaign. So it's very important that within the first few days of those campaigns that we are going in and optimizing that. So let's talk a little bit now about how we are going to be targeting ads when we're looking through the lens or the filter of digital ad inventory. So obviously there are a lot of different targeting mechanisms available to us on all of the ad platforms that we have. Of course, there's geography, age and gender. With Google, we have things called in-market and affinity audiences where we're taking into consideration people's web activity and looking at what they're interested in, what they might be shopping for, and targeting consumers that way. On platforms such as social media, we can go after employment and the professional field that they are in, especially with something like LinkedIn. And we can also take a look at their overall interests and their web habits. Obviously, a couple of things on this list that some of you may or may not know are being limited with the more popular ad platforms that are out there, specifically Facebook and Google. And so I want to take a minute to address that. In fact, it just started this week that from now on, if you are targeting consumers with an offer of credit, so for a loan, credit card, etc., you have restrictions when it comes to being able to target based on geography, age, and gender, and then income and net worth. So you are no longer able to specify an age range. You cannot specify a gender. You cannot select a range of income levels that you would like to target with these offers of credit, and geography cannot get as granular as it once was. So it has to be more on the city or county or DMA level rather than specific zip codes. But these are all, these demographic targeting mechanisms that we can use to narrow down the amount of relevant inventory that we're going after with our ad campaigns. So when it comes to targeting for inventory, the process looks a little bit different, because what we're doing with the targeting for ad inventory is that we're trying to make our campaigns be as specific as possible, with the focus or the goal being to get our ads shown and shown at the top of the list or the right places. So let's take, for example, the Facebook example. We want to be within the first 3 slots of sponsored content when we're getting our ads placed, because if someone's just scrolling through in a couple of spare minutes that they have in the middle of the day, they're not going to go too much past that. With Google searches, we need to be within those top 2 slots, otherwise our ad is falling to the bottom of the page and it's not going to be relevant to the person looking for the product that we are selling. So what we have to think about with our campaigns is really tightening up how we go after things like keywords, really narrowing down our demographic audience to those pinpoint consumers that we want to go after, really painting that persona picture, if you will. So that way, our ads are more relevant because they're hitting that specific audience, and they're going to have a higher probability of being shown within the inventory that's available out there. So the other thing that we need to talk about rather with targeting is forecasting our ad placement. So both Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram all have forecasting tools within their platforms to basically tell you, okay, based on the parameters you set out here, this is how many people are going to look at your ad, how many people are going to click, and this is what we can expect for a conversion rate. Now, that all sounds well and good, but again, we're trying to get in the right place inventory-wise and have our ads shown to the most relevant consumer at the top of the list. So we need to play around with things like, for keyword searches, moving away from the broad match and going into things like phrase match or specific keyword match. That way, again, we're tightening up that audience and getting to a much more specific consumer that is going after it. So instead of, with the broad match example, saying anything that has the words car and loan in the search, placing an ad, we're tightening that up and saying, okay, the person needs to say car loan near me or something along those lines. So that way we know that that person is absolutely looking for a car loan because the words are going to be in that order, what they are searching for. The other thing we can take a look at is what's called the forecasted impression share. Impression share is a part of digital ad inventory that basically measures of all of the ads that are in your specific area of the market, what you are selling. What is the forecasted probability of having your ad just shown to the audience that you're going after? And the higher that probability is, of course, the better. And so anything above that 35 to 40% range in a forecast scenario is going to be really good for our ad campaigns. And then we can make tweaks here and there to, once the campaign goes live, to make sure that we are reaching the audience that we want to. So that's, again, kind of taking a look at the forecast out there. How much budget do we need to put towards this? What's our cost per click going to be? What's the max that we're willing to go to? What keywords are more expensive and what ones aren't? These are all little tools that we can play with in the forecasting platform to be able to get our ads in the right place and have our campaign be a success. I touched a little bit on the budget and the cost per click. This is an excellent way to also tool in and specify where we want our budget to go, because if, again, we're looking at things just like broad match keywords, anything that has car and loan in it, we might be wasting a lot of budget on that. And so this is a great way to really hone in and conserve budget, especially because at our banks and credit unions, the marketing budget is not unlimited like a Wells Fargo's online budget is. All right, so we've gotten to the fun part now, where we're going to talk about ad placement, actually getting that ad out there. And the first thing we're going to talk about here is bidding strategies. So obviously, as you may know, there are a lot of different bidding strategies. They differ based on what advertising platform you are on, but they boil down to these three primary bidding strategies that are out there. The first is clicks, then we are targeting conversions, or what's called target CPA, or cost per acquisition, and then the last being impression share. Now, each one of these bidding strategies is going to hit a different place of ad inventory. So it's taking a look, at left field versus right field. So clicks, for example, is going to be very much on those broad match searches. The clicks or traffic campaigns, as it's known on the social media platforms, are all about getting as many eyeballs on your landing page as possible. Is that going to be a lot of quality traffic that you're putting on your site? Probably not. You're probably going to see a pretty high bounce ratio. You're not going to see a lot of time on page spent, but you are getting eyeballs on your web page. Clicks, targeting for clicks is a really great strategy for brand campaigns or brand awareness. So I won't rule it out. It's also a great strategy to kind of jumpstart a campaign. So say if you have a limited time campaign, so we're coming up on that holiday season, and you have a holiday loan product that's only going to run for 60 days, 2 months. Clicks would be a great strategy to utilize in the bidding in the first couple of weeks of the campaign, and then dial that back in to more of a conversion bidding strategy, because conversions are going to go after specific search terms, so those phrases, those specific keyword matches. They're also going to go after specific audiences. So if we know someone is in the market for a car loan because they've been searching on Bankrate and going to NerdWallet and things like that, that's when your ad is going to be put in front of them if they're searching or on social media platforms, because we're targeting for conversion. It's much more specific, not as broad. And then the last strategy here, impression share. Again, this is where we're trying to get a lot of eyeballs on an ad because we're bidding after impressions. So this is all going to be about our bid amount and the competition that we are facing out there. So if we've got XYZ bank down the street that is bidding much more than us, they're going to have a better impression share compared to what we are, unless we raise that bid amount or that maximum cost per click. So the question then becomes, what do we go after, clicks or conversions? Well, there's a great case for both strategies, and I don't want to lean too heavily on one way or the other, but just keeping in mind that again, each one of these strategies accesses a different part of the ad inventory that's out there. Clicks, again, a great way to get a campaign up and running. It's wonderful for brand awareness. It will really put your ads out there. It just may not be the most relevant audience. And so you're going to get a lot of eyeballs on the ads, eyeballs on your page, but you're not going to see the conversion value out of it. And so we have to weigh that when we're considering what we want our return on investment to be when it comes to the campaign. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how do we troubleshoot our campaigns if we're not reaching the audiences that we want to, if we're not getting to the right place of ad inventory. Let's say, for the sake of argument, on a search campaign that we are falling off of the first page of ad results, that we are maybe getting the impressions, we're just not getting people to look at it because they're not getting their eyeballs to that place. So the first thing that we need to do is analyze the campaign. Ask questions like, are my ads being shown? Is it hitting the target audience? Again, talking about that client that we have that has seen your checking product and it wasn't getting to the right age group. So are we hitting that desired target audience? And then are we getting the time on page or the lower bounce rate for people that are actually clicking through to our ads? So this kind of becomes a multi-window experience, if you will, where we're looking at the advertising platform and what we're seeing over there, and then also pulling up our site analytics and taking a look at what we've got on the Google Analytics and what we're seeing from website traffic and things like that. And there are a number of different ways that we can help diagnose this strategy. The first thing is, are our ads being shown? That's a quick yes or no answer. If we're not seeing the traction, then it's time to perhaps raise the bid amount or raise our budget for a short period of time so that we can get more ads shown and make it more relevant in the inventory space. If we're not reaching our desired target audience, it's time to go in and retool those demographic targeting techniques. Again, this is becoming a little bit more difficult with offers of credit because we are not able to specifically target by age, gender, income, and granular geography. And then if we're not getting things like time on page for click-throughs and whatnot, my recommendation with things like this is to better analyze the content on your landing page or the site that you are sending people to. Measure clicks on that site. So what are people actually clicking on once they get there? Are they filling out a form if you have a lead generation form? Are they getting to that apply now button? View it on multiple devices to make sure that the most important content or those call to action pieces are above the fold or within one thumb swipe on a mobile device. All of these sorts of things play in heavily to analyzing the campaign and then fixing those little nagging things that are not getting your ads to be shown or to the right audience or what have you. Basically, really we're just trying to access a different part of that ad inventory to make sure that we are being relevant. With troubleshooting and campaign analysis, I just want to lay it out there that making changes to your campaigns are essential for optimization. Digital advertising is so different compared to traditional, where our job as advertisers and marketers has just begun when the campaign starts, because we do need to keep going in there and optimizing the campaign. That being said, I do want to make sure I point out that resetting too many attributes within a campaign over a short period of time, so let's say a week or within one giant sweeping move, can have a campaign lose momentum, because it can actually push a campaign back into the learning phase of the campaign, which you're losing time there with reaching people that you want to target and bring into your bank or credit union for whatever the campaign may be. So the other part of that is, if we make too many changes all at once and we're still not getting the results that we wanted in the first place when it comes to accessing the part of digital ad inventory that we want, we may not know which one of those changes that we reset actually did something that we wanted to or not. So my recommendation always is just to be very cautious about how many changes you're making. If you have to rewrite content for your ads, my best practice is always to create a brand new ad and pause or shut off the ad that you want to discontinue, so that it's still there in the account and you can go back to it if the change did not work. And therefore you're not losing the momentum of that specific ad. You're not losing the AI behind it and the data that the advertising platform has. All right, so let's talk about the last piece here, which is maximizing your results. So obviously, don't forget to monitor your campaigns. That kind of goes along with that whole campaign analysis. Digital marketing is definitely not the set it and forget it advertising model. It's one of the reasons that, especially in the market that we're in financial services, that it may be helpful to have that third party that is taking a look at it every other day, every day, whatever you have, so that you have the bandwidth to manage your marketing department, but your digital marketing is still on the move, and you're not wasting budget dollars and things like that. Too often, we find when we step in to take a look at a client's advertising campaigns that there are ads out there that aren't relevant anymore because they were created 2-3 years ago and nobody has done anything about the content in it. So certainly, monitoring your campaigns. And then the last piece of advice that I will always give digital marketers is to fail often and fast. The beauty of what we do as digital marketers or digital advertisers is the ability to change things rapidly. And so if something's working, that's awesome. We can keep it that way or try and improve on the great results we've already got. But if it's not working, then it's time to make those changes and turn it off. Where we fail is where we begin to learn in these very complex digital advertising platforms that we are using. There's just so much out there when it comes to attributes and accessing the right part of the digital inventory. that, yeah, you're going to fail sometimes. But the key here is, again, to make sure you're monitoring those campaigns so that you're failing fast and putting that behind you so that there's good use of budget to come in the future. I think the biggest mistake that many digital advertisers make is seeing that something's not working and it's failing, but saying, well, let's wait it out and hope it gets better. And that's really not the way to approach something like digital advertising, because these algorithms, the automated intelligence that is going on behind the scenes is so good that if it's not working, it's time to turn it off and try something else. So with that, I want to thank all of you for your time and attention today. My information is right there up on the screen, so if you'd like to shoot me an email or give me a call to ask a couple of questions, I would be more than happy to answer those for you. I have kind of a get out of jail free card deal with all of our webinar attendees, that if you have a question, I will answer it free of charge for you. It's not a problem for me at all. I just, hope that you would come forward with that if you want to. So anyway, again, thank you very much for the time today. Really appreciate all of you attending the Brown Bag session. We hope to see you in the months to come. Have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend.